Ilia Topuria reveals UFC's next challenger, Gaethje vs Pimblett? The lightweight division is ablaze after Ilia Topuria's thunderous knockout of Charles Oliveira at UFC 317, but his first title defense is already steeped in controversy. Here's the kicker: Topuria believes the UFC has narrowed his first title challenger down to just two names, and one popular contender might need one more win before getting the call. Topuria's victory sparked immediate drama when Paddy Pimblett crashed the cage for a fiery face-off orchestrated by Joe Rogan, leaving UFC boss Dana White fuming. White bluntly stated Pimblett likely won't be next in line, citing the unapproved confrontation. But why the cold shoulder? White's skepticism stems from Pimblett's current resume gaps, despite his massive fan appeal. Enter longtime contender Justin Gaethje, who issued a stark ultimatum: give him the title shot or he'll retire. White shot back, calling the threat wacky and suggesting Gaethje should hang up his gloves if he's already pondering retirement. Gaethje recently escalated tensions by rejecting a fight against Pimblett, accusing the UFC of using him as a gatekeeper to build their next star. So who does Topuria think is next? "I think they'll push for Justin, or maybe Paddy," he revealed in a livestream. Arman Tsarukyan? Not even a conversation. Tsarukyan's impressive streak aside, White insists he needs another win after withdrawing from UFC 311 at the last minute, a move Topuria oddly defended, comparing weight-cutting woes to back pain from dehydration. But here's where it gets controversial: Topuria believes Pimblett needs one more fight despite his popularity. Paddy will be huge, but he needs one more win, Topuria emphasized, sparking debate over whether the baddie deserves an immediate shot. Meanwhile, Topuria is eyeing a future grudge match with Islam Makhachev and even floated interest in welterweight champion Jack Della Maddalena if he beats Makhachev. "If Jack wins, that fight would be great," Topuria said, stoking a new rivalry after Della Maddalena mocked his BMF claims. The big question: should Pimblett get an immediate title shot, or does he need to prove himself once more? And is Gaethje's ultimatum justified, or is White right to question his commitment? Sound off. Justin Gaethje's quest for a UFC lightweight title: will he get his shot? The UFC lightweight division is on the brink of a showdown, and Justin Gaethje stands right at the heart of the storm, adamant that he deserves another shot at the championship gold. For fans of MMA, this isn't just a routine title pursuit, it's a passionate crusade steeped in ambition, frustration, and more than a hint of controversy. Justin Gaethje has never hidden his intentions. He's not just any contender in the lightweight scene, he's renowned for delivering some of the most electric, unforgettable fights in UFC history. Yet, despite a phenomenal career, one glaring omission remains: he's yet to wrap the UFC lightweight title around his waist. This unfulfilled goal has become his driving obsession as he nears the twilight of his career. Recently, Gaethje has amplified his campaign for a shot at the belt, telling anyone who'll listen that he's earned it through grit and performance. You'd think, given his consistent track record, the road would be clear. But here's where things take a turn most fans don't expect: negotiations with the UFC seem to be at a virtual standstill. And this is the part most people miss: what's actually going on behind the scenes. There have even been rumors circulating about Gaethje possibly facing Paddy Pimblett in a title eliminator, a fight that some believe is designed purely for entertainment, not merit. But Gaethje isn't interested in that path. In fact, he's been outspoken about his refusal to take the bout, doubling down on his belief that he shouldn't have to defend his claim to the throne against someone with a less proven record. "Absolutely not," Gaethje stated firmly when asked about fighting Pimblett. "If that's what the UFC wants me to do, I have to question whether they value me at all. Say what you will, but I'm currently ranked number 3, and I'm 3-1 in my last 4 fights. Even the reigning champion, Islam Makhachev, was ready to defend against me until he vacated the title. Suddenly, a new contender is brought in, and a fighter with a 2-2 record gets the opportunity. If the matchmaking process simply uses me as a gatekeeper until I lose, then I need to rethink my future in this sport." Gaethje insists that he signed up for a promotion where merit, not promotional narratives, determines who gets a title shot. He's pointed out that when it comes to fighters like Arman Tsarukyan, who pulled out of a fight, his own situation is hardly the same. If the UFC lumps them together and asks Gaethje to once again fight for his own spot, he's made it clear he'll be upset and may have to make difficult decisions about his career. But here's where it gets controversial: Is the UFC prioritizing marketable matchups over athletic merit? Should a fighter of Gaethje's caliber be forced into risky fights just to preserve his place in line? Or does the business side of the sport mean that popularity and hype inevitably overshadow the rankings? What do you think? Should the UFC grant Gaethje an immediate title shot, or are there other contenders who deserve it more? Does his stance reflect a fighter standing up for fairness, or is he avoiding fresh, dangerous competition? Let us know what side of the debate you're on in the comments below. Justin Gaethje's frustration, UFC's next move with Ilia Topuria and Paddy Pimblett. Justin Gaethje is expressing his frustration and concern about the possibility of being sidelined in the UFC lightweight title race, especially if the organization opts to match him against Paddy Pimblett instead of the newly crowned champion, Ilia Topuria. Gaethje, who boasts a professional record of 26 wins and 5 losses in mixed martial arts, with 9 victories and 5 defeats in the UFC, is adamant about his desire to be the next contender for Topuria's title. Topuria recently secured the vacant lightweight championship by defeating Charles Oliveira at UFC 317, a significant victory that has put him in the spotlight. Having achieved 3 wins in his last 4 bouts, with the only setback being a notable knockout loss to Max Holloway during their BMF title fight at UFC 300, Gaethje believes his performance history positions him as the prime candidate for Topuria's first title defense. He acknowledges that both Holloway, who recently triumphed over Dustin Poirier at UFC 318, and Arman Tsarukyan are also in contention for this opportunity. However, Gaethje is confident that he should be the one chosen for the fight. I've been vocal about what I feel I deserve and what I want, but ultimately, it comes down to timing when it comes to who will face Ilia next, Gaethje shared in an interview with ESPN. I see myself as one of the top 3 contenders, alongside Max, who just had a significant win. If Ilia is set to fight this year, it will likely be me, Arman, or Max. If he doesn't fight this year, then who knows what will happen. I've made my feelings known, and now I need to focus on training and preparing, as all these fighters are incredibly skilled. I hope to face Ilia in November at Madison Square Garden. That's my goal, and I'm trying to manifest it, but with the UFC, you can never be certain. I can only control my readiness for the next fight. After Topuria's victory over Oliveira, he seemed indifferent about the prospect of fighting Gaethje next, suggesting that it would be an unfair matchup. Before the fight, Topuria had indicated that a logical title eliminator would be a bout between Gaethje and Pimblett, a sentiment that Pimblett himself supported. However, following Topuria's win, he faced off with Pimblett in the octagon, creating a buzz around their rivalry. UFC CEO Dana White later remarked that Pimblett's appearance for the staredown was a promotional miscalculation, yet he did not provide any clear direction regarding Topuria's first title defense. Gaethje, now 36 years old, has made it clear that if the UFC chooses to pursue a fight between him and Pimblett instead of Topuria, he would need to reconsider his future with the organization. Absolutely not, fighting Pimblett, Gaethje stated firmly. If that's the path they want me to take, then I don't think they see my value anymore. I know that might sound petty, but I'm currently ranked number 3, and I've won 3 out of my last 4 fights. The champion, Islam Makhachev, was calling me out before he vacated the title. If they want to give a fight to someone who is 2-2, then I need to seriously rethink my position here. I've committed to a merit-based system and have always adhered to that principle. If they want to give Arman a shot, that's one thing, but I had my opportunity and took a different fight when he pulled out. Those are 2 distinct situations. If I am placed in a position where I have to fight for my spot, I will be quite upset about that. In the end, Gaethje remains optimistic and is focused on achieving the best possible outcome for his career. His ideal scenario would involve securing a title shot against Topuria before the end of 2025, followed by a rematch with Holloway at the UFC White House card, allowing him to conclude his career on a high note. In the best-case scenario, if everything aligns perfectly, I would defeat Topuria this year, defend my title against Holloway on the White House lawn, and then retire with both the BMF and championship belts, Gaethje expressed. There would be no better way to conclude my journey. But I might be a bit biased in that regard. What do you think about Gaethje's situation? Should he be the next in line for a title shot, or do you believe Pimblett deserves the opportunity? Share your thoughts in the comments.